Hey, all you Scotch lovers out there. Kind of a weird opening here because this is my blind tasting. We had to change the time up for a Sunday, so I hope that everybody is there and you have gone on our Discord channel and pulled down the file that you guys can follow along the blind if you want. If you do that, please keep mums the word on the chat so that you don't give anything away to the other three dummies as they go through this challenge. I want to tell you guys, it was more of a challenge for me to create this than I thought it was going to be, but I hope it's some fun, and I know the dummies are going to appreciate it, and I hope you do too. So stay tuned, and let's get into the blind tasting and see what these guys can do. All right, boys.
Hey, guys.
Hi, guys.
Scotch for Dummies.
All four of us are here.
Journey to help you with your next Scotch purchase. What's up, Mark? What's going on?
So it was my turn. I drew the short straw this time, which means, Andrew, you're on the hot seat for the next one. But what I've got here for you guys is a little blind challenge. Hopefully everybody playing at home has already pulled the file down and they know what you guys are in for. There are 4 envelopes in front of you. You guys can go ahead and start with envelope number 1. I will read aloud to everybody who doesn't have the file in front of them so they know what you're reading. But when you open up folder number 1, or envelope number 1, it's called or titled The Age of Reason. That's right. It's a little spin on a Thomas Paine writing, The Age of Reason. Being an investigation of true and fabulous time and terroir. It has been my intention to explore the age of Scotch and from where it comes, or rather its region. Can these things be tasted or perceived? Do they equate to quality or ensure greatness? Do they even matter? It's time to find out. Before you are 4 Scotches, all from different Scotch regions. 2 of them are the same age, while the other 2 are different. While it may feel as if you are the one under investigation, it is critical to remember that it is not you, but rather the Scotch. Good luck.
Well, first of all, wow, nice job in the production.
Yeah,
Why isn't this one going?
it's like professional grade
I
there.
don't even need my notes thing. I got one to take notes on here now, so that's pretty
Yeah,
nice.
all you needed was a pencil.
Look at this.
He
He gave us a cheat sheet.
I did. I made it so you guys had everything to put your answer.
All right.
I don't want to waste time.
Yeah, of course,
We're going to stretch out some stuff, but we'll take this. All right.
So
so would you pour the whole thing in there? Full 1 ounce or so?
I would pour the whole thing. So step 1, for all 4 samples, move the sticker from the bottle to a glass and pour the sample into the respective glass. Explore each one by nose and taste. Feel free to add water as necessary at any time. A is to arrange them in your order of preference. And if you call them out so that we can all write this down and score what you guys are doing. This is just the initial get to know the Scotches here.
Johnny Walker Black, number 1.
White Walker number 2.
White Walker, number 2. Expensive one, number 3.
So while you guys are doing that, I'm going to call a couple people out. I've seen Tom and Matt McCain, Tom R., Donner Pass, Too Slow, Snowy Edge, Gregor, Alistair Great, Sam Clark, Brianna Porter, which means Sunday Evening Scotch is in, I would hope. Malt Minion, Chris B., Raymaster, Michael Stickles, DBSG, David Vaughn. Nice. There's lots of people in, man. That's good because I was a little worried with our timing. I don't know if you guys have noticed out there in Whiskey Tube Land, but there's a lot of people doing lives right now. So we tried to squeeze in between a few, so we're not stepping on other toes, and we give everybody an opportunity to go check those shows out too. I actually poured a little bit of the Glen Grant 15, which is getting kind of low. This is probably a zebra, just to follow along with these guys.
Apple.
So needless to say, these are not cherry bombs, right, Mark?
What was that?
Needless to say, these are not cherry bombs.
Negative. Honestly, I didn't want to influence it. I didn't want that to overpower what you guys are trying to figure out here.
All right, so I got all mine poured. I got my stickers on each one. I left my bottles up here in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, just in case I need to go back to them.
Okay.
And I am now making sure that I coat the glasses pretty well with each one of these.
Yeah.
And then we go in and we do your A and B, huh?
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, A and B in step 1 are really just to familiarize you guys with what these glasses are.
Okay. All right, I'm going in, boys. Number 1.
Ooh, number 1, I'm getting apple. I'm getting.
Yeah, I got some like apple crisp. I got some baking spices, like subtle baking spices, cinnamon and nutmeg.
Yep.
I haven't tasted it yet, but it's got a very pleasant nose.
A little bit of grassiness in it.
Yeah. Number two I like. It smells a little higher in the ABV, I think.
More musky.
Number 2 has a little bit of like a something sour.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to put
Almost
my
a
finger on it. Like a sourdough bread kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like tangy, but not in a bad way.
Boy.
These are
number 3.
3 smells like water. I mean, it's really light. You get nothing on the nose of that.
Just some like honey and light floral, and that's
Oh, wait,
that's about it.
there's a little bit of floral.
floral. Yep.
A little bit light, really light.
Maybe a hint of smoke or something.
Ayub, it's my first time live with you. Well, welcome to the show, my friend. I hope you enjoyed this blind tasting these guys are going through.
We're getting put through the ringer on this one.
Oh, number 4 is very cotton.
Yeah.
Fabric softener.
It's got a tanginess about it too.
It smells grainy to me.
Yeah.
A little grainy, huh?
Grainy.
All right.
All right, so understand correctly.
All right. So if I can taste it.
All right, so but once we taste them, we are to arrange them in A, preference, and then B, what we think they are, ABV.
ABV, okay.
Okay.
What's everybody out there in virtual land drinking for their Sunday afternoon dram?
I'll tell you what. I didn't expect number 1 to have a kick.
Woo!
It does. Yep.
It's
Holy moly.
picking on the wrong guy at a party right there, man.
Look at the legs on it too. Jeez.
Man, that number 2 is all Springbank's Campbelltown smoky or funky.
I like that number 1. It's really good. A little vanilla, custard, some kind of allspice finish. That's good. All right, going to number 2.
Come on, Sean, talk us through it. You're just
Number
right.
2, that's got more funk to it.
I'm really trying to pay some attention to these because I'm getting quizzed on it, and I don't like to mess around. But I will tell you,
Number 2, guys.
I got a title to keep. You know what I mean? But number 2, I'm getting some Springbank on there.
Yeah, that's what I'm
A
thinking.
little funky stuff going on. It's real nice. The ABV is, I thought that was a little bit higher maybe, and it's harder to tell when it's got a little smoke or peat kind of hanging out on it where the ABV kind of lands on it. But it's nice. Very well balanced.
Yeah, that is nice.
If you can feel the heat on a smoking whiskey, that means it's pretty good, pretty strong.
Yeah, that's really good. It's got a hint of
It smells really good. I like number 3 or number 2. All right, under number 3. Let me take a sip.
Thanks, Zach.
Number 2 also kind of, the taste reminds me, it's like I know when we were at Widow Jane, kind of that earlier whiskey, the younger whiskey, it kind of reminds me of like maybe like a young whiskey.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, they are all very close to the nose that I got. They are holding true on the palate to what I
Okay. So the palate is
variation. They're full of flavor. All 3 of the ones that I've had so far are very full bodied, but they're I'm not getting any surprises on the palate that I didn't get on the nose already.
Yeah, I mean, when I tried the number 3 on the nose, the initial nose at number 3, I got almost nothing. It almost smelled like the glass, almost more than anything. But now it's better. Once I washed it through my palate, it's got a lot more flavor to it than I thought.
Back offshore.
What is
back
number
blue.
4?
What did you say?
What is that?
Number 4?
Curveball.
It is a curveball. Did you guys try it yet?
No. Get an acetal on the nose now.
It's got a weird mouthfeel. It's not like the others. It's kind of coating. It's not as high in ABV.
I don't know.
Nah.
Really light though.
It's got a weird like licorice tang to it that I'm not entirely sure about.
I'm still
It's like astringent.
Yes.
Number 4 is definitely that.
It's very much so. I'm gonna have to think about that one for a minute.
So I'm seeing a theme here. As 2 of you guys talk through it, it leaves the third one to just be by himself and write notes. Sean's gone through it. Drew's gone through it. So I guess, Sean and Drew, it's your turn to talk while Andrew just goes heads down. This is pretty funny.
Well, I would finish 3. I'm gonna make sure my palate's clean for a second. But 3, while I was tasting, I wrote down, reminds me of Buna 18 because it kind of has that almost chocolatey flavor to it with just a tad bit of smoke.
Which number?
Okay.
Number 3, yeah. I had some of it last week, and it was like it reminds me of that flavor. But I thought it was darker.
Man, I'm lost here. What do I do with that? Okay.
I can see where you get that now, Drew. I get a little bit of chocolate on there. That's really
These are getting better. Either my palate's opening up or these are getting better as they sit out.
Ooh, 4 is really sweet. Oh, what is that though? It's got a funky finish to it though.
Yes, it does.
Almost like a pasta, like a pasta finish. You know that.
Can't type.
What you would describe for that, but
I feel like this is going to be a rough challenge.
I'm lost already. I've already trying to figure out which one I'm like. So none of these are my wheel. Well, the number 2 is kind of my wheelhouse, so that's probably going to be my number 1. But the other ones I'm grasping. I'm really having to work to try and understand. Every time I go back through them, probably because the order I'm drinking them, every time I go back through them, I get a different flavor. I'm like, this is not what I thought. So it's tough.
In a good way or a bad way?
can we put water on now, or are we going to be asked to put water on later?
No, it's completely up to you. That if you watered them right now, it won't change anything. It won't change anything. That's why I said feel free to add water at any time.
They all feel like they're very close in ABV. I mean, and but the first one tasted a lot hotter.
I have a pretty good guess on the ABVs. I don't want to water them down yet because I'm still trying to figure that out.
Okay, so why don't we go through preference? Why don't you? Who's ready to give me your preference?
I'm not yet.
You guys want me to start? Are you still figuring this out?
Go ahead, Sean.
All right, man. I'll walk you guys through this, at least from my vantage point. It's an interesting challenge. Did you put them in a certain order for a certain reason, Mark? Or I only asked because I would have put the number 2 at the end just because it's got that funky quality to it.
Honestly, I left that to chance. I really did take the bottles and moved them around, and I just grabbed. I didn't pay any attention because I didn't want to. I could have thought through that a million times, and I'm like, that's not part of what. That is not focusing on what we're trying to get at.
All right, fair enough. All right, so number 1, I enjoyed. It's got a lot of like apple and pear kind of things going on in it. Baking spices, like an apple crisp, I think I said in the beginning. It's a higher ABV. It's obviously a cask strength scotch. I mean, I would drink that one all day. You could have filled up all 4 bottles with that, and that would have been fine with me. Number 2 has that Campbelltown feel to it. It's got a funky quality to it. It doesn't have like a super deep funk about it. It's more of a light funk, if you will. But it's there, and it's definitely noticeable. I don't get a whole lot of like deep flavors out of it. I think I'm going to have to mess around with that one a little bit more. It feels like it needs a little bit of water to maybe open up and kind of give me a little bit more out of the glass. But I like that glass. Number 3 is a lighter, more floral style Scotch. Again, the depth isn't quite there, but you get what you get on the nose, on the palate. And it's very enjoyable. A little bit higher on the ABV. Number 4, I'm still trying to work through, man. I think I need to put some water on it to try and get it to talk to me a little bit. Hold on. I got to get my ABVs down first. Then yeah,
it's time for me to water.
All right. I just want your order of preference. Which one? Put them in order.
I think if I had to pick, and this is just today, I think, because I'm not feeling the funk quite as much, I would go, my number 1 would be number 1. I enjoy that one quite a bit. I would probably say number 3 is my second choice. And then number 2, they're probably a tie. They're just very different styles. So I think I would have to, I'm picking based on what I'm feeling today. And then number 4, I'm putting on the end just because I just can't get to that Scotch quite yet. I don't know what it is, but
okay,
there's something throwing me off there. And so I'm going to work with that one a little bit. So I'm going 1, 3, 2, 4.
Do you have your ABVs down?
Give me 2 seconds and I will.
All right, I'll go through. So
All right,
my order of preference is number 2. It's got that kind of musty Campbelltown smell to it and palate. I really enjoy that. My second is number 1. That's a really well balanced, tasty whiskey. Number 3 is probably my third. It doesn't have quite the round sweetness that I like, but it's still pretty good. And number 4 is not my favorite. I think there's some grain. There's a big grain component to it, and today it's not hitting me right. So that's my preference. Now ABV, I completely don't know because as I taste through these, everyone burns my mouth up. So I'm thinking they're all high, and that's what maybe 3 is the lowest. But other than that, I can't go any more detail.
All right, interesting. I want to give a shout out. Zach Andrews just gave us a super chat from one of his buddies watching for the first time. So is it Seb Hanoy? Welcome to the show, man. Cheers. I probably butchered the name, but I'm good for that. Okay, so all right, we at least we got preferences. I think Sean's ready for an ABV though. Do you have your list on ABV, Sean?
All right. I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm not sure if this is right or not.
Don't worry.
I'm going to go number 2 being the highest. I'm going to go with number 1 and then 3, 4. I'm with Andrew though. It's tough. They're hot and they're kind of burning me out a little bit. And,
right.
But it felt like when I tried that number 2, like the funk kind of masks a little bit of that ABV, but I think it's still hanging out in there.
Okay. Drew, what's your preference order?
I'm kind of with you guys. My palate's burning up right now, so I think they're all kind of high ABV. My preference right now is 1, 3, 2, and then 4. And I've got I got a lot more cotton and vanillas and a little bit more maltiness on number 1. Number 2, I definitely have it has something going on funky wise. So I think I'm with Sean. It's something down south, like a Campbelltown, something or other, because it's got a weird funky nose for sure. The palate's not as bad as the nose. And number 3, I already said it reminds me of a Boone 18. And then the fourth one, I have no idea, but I put down very floral, heather going on. But I've got them all kind of high in ABVs. I'm going to say my highest ABV is number 4. And then number 1, I thought those two were pretty close. And then I got 3 and then 2.
All right. So back to the envelope. That was step 1. Was just to open it up, pour them, get to know them a little bit. The next thing you guys see should say open envelope 2.
Yep. All right.
So when they open envelope 2, they're going to pull out a piece of paper. I'm going to show it to the screen a little bit. I'll read it here. It says, "What's my age again?" Step 2, now that you've explored these scotches and considered their ABVs, let's consider their age. So for part A, I want you to arrange them in order of age, and then do your best to actually put an age on them. Now remember the opening statement. 2 of these are the same age, 2 are not. So that could be
oldest to youngest, right? Or youngest to oldest.
Yeah, that's just the way I threw it down there. It doesn't really matter, but since that's the way it's on the paper, let's go that way. But
youngest to oldest, and then guess the age.
Right.
Look at my notes.
I mean, let's be realistic. I don't expect you guys to nail these, but it's a matter of I gave you a little bit of hint. You guys have walked your way through these. You've considered the strength of them, so that might influence you a little bit. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. Remember, that's what this whole challenge was. We're exploring the region and the age. Does that matter? Because people see an age statement on a label, and that means something.
Right.
People don't see an age statement on a label, that means something. You know, the SWA has gone through great lengths to maintain regions of Scotch. Why? So we're at the age statement.
All right. Are you guys ready for the ages? You want me to go?
2 of these are the same age, right?
2 are the same age, indeed. The other 2 are not.
All right, go Mark, or go Sean.
All right, here's where I'm at, and you guys talk to me about what you think. But my thought is that number 1 tastes the harshest, not really like harsh, but it's got a lot of kick to it, if you will.
Okay. Yep.
I would think that number 2 is a little bit older because it's got that funky quality, but it's not an overwhelming funk. It's a little more smooth and balanced. And so I feel like that's had to age just a little bit because of that. Number 3 is the one that's kind of throwing me off because it's such a light floral. I can't figure out if it's because of age or if it's because of the distillery that it was made in. It's not giving me a whole lot of clues as far as that goes. And then number 4, I'm guessing, is some kind of a grain whiskey that he threw in as a curveball that's probably old.
Yeah, so I would agree with you on that.
Camera.
So definitely number 4, I think, is the oldest.
I'm typing on the Discord.
It's a grain. It is, and actually, as I've been tasting through this, number 4 is moving up in my preference profile because it's so well rounded. It's really balanced out completely on me. The nose still isn't great, but the palate is it's kind of buttery and it's really, really coming out as it sits and adds a little water to it.
Yeah.
So what was your order then, Sean? Do you have?
I'm going to go youngest to oldest. I am going to go 1, 3, 2, 4. And then guessing on ages, I really don't know.
Yeah, that's what I can't
really.
I'm gonna I need like a master's thesis on this. What Mark's asking for.
I'm gonna guess number 1 is around a 10-year-old, 12-year-old cask strength whiskey, and then number 2 and number 3, I'm guessing. Man, I don't even know. I'm gonna guess 2 is a little bit older, like maybe let's say 18. 3 might be the same age as 2, so I'll put that as 18. And if the grain whiskey's an old grain whiskey, I'm gonna say it's 20. I don't know. I don't know what you got at your bar, man. So I'm just sad in the dark on that one.
So my age order, I'm going to go with 3 as the youngest. I think it's a little unbalanced, or not unbalanced. It just doesn't feel rounded as much. So I'm going to go with 3, youngest. 1 and 2 are the same age, and then 4 is the oldest. Now, age, again, I've never explored whiskey enough to like sit with a 10, 12, 15-year whiskey and like really understand the differences between those, or so that as a group gathering like that. So date, I'd probably be 25 or 30 on the grain if it is a grain on number 4. I'm going to take Drew's guidance. Maybe there's an 18 on those 2 middle ones, and 12 on the youngest. I'm
loving some of the comments. I totally agree with SoCal Dram Tram that I need a trip to the bunker to even the odds here.
I know. I just read. I was laughing. I'm like, hey, man, don't be inviting him to my bar. What was your oldest, Andrew? What was the age on it?
The oldest, I'm going to say 25 or 30.
Okay.
Boy, it's dead barrels, too, because there's no color to it. It's just like water.
Drew, what do you got, buddy?
Well, the first thing I did is went to my original notes, and I wrote down a few things that kind of helped me. And obviously, to Andrew's point, number 3, I said 18. For some reason, that's just in my head. So I'm using that kind of as a medium there. So I'm going to go for my oldest, I'm going to go with number 1. I wrote down older when I first tasted it. It kind of had that with more maltiness and the baked apples. It felt like it had a little bit more baking time into it. So oldest is number 1. Number 3 I have as the 18, number 3, and then I had the youngest as 2 and 4 split. I don't know what the ages are, but I'll guess here because I put 18 as number 3. I'm just assuming number 1 got to be like. And I was looking at my SMWS's bottle while I was back here to try and get some guidance, as far as numbers and stuff, because I have no idea. I'm going to say it's probably like a 24 or 25-year-old or something, maybe 20. I'll say 25. And then 18 is what I'm going with on 3. I'm just going to keep going with that one. And then number 1 and 2, it's like I had younger as one of my original notes in there as number 2. So it's that since number 2 is younger, that means number 1's got it, or number 4's got to be the same way. So I'm going to say 11 years what I wrote down.
All right, you just confused the royal crud out of me. So on age, your number 1, the glass number 1, you're saying is 25 years old. Glass number 2, you're saying is what?
18.
Glass number 3.
I wrote 11 for both of those.
For 11 and 4, or 3 and 4?
For 4 and 2.
Oh, 18 is 4, 2.
18 is number 3.
Okay. Now I'm screwed up. And then 11 for 2 and 4.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Now,
That's
let me take a look at this. So
let's
recap this because we're going to move on to the next envelope. So the oldest is we've got a disparity here. Drew's saying that 1 is the oldest. Andrew and Sean are saying 4 is the oldest.
Yep.
And then youngest, Drew and Andrew might be the same on that with 3, but Sean is saying 1. So this is some disparity. This is good because this shows me that how much importance you should put on a label, right. What your number you see on a label. We'll get to that in the afterthoughts, but on the recap, let's go on. The next step says, if you scroll down, open envelope 3.
Okay.
Okay, so everybody at home, they open up envelope 3. They will pull out a piece of paper. And a reminder, guys, this is on the Discord channel. There's our Discord server has a channel called Blind Challenges. I uploaded this document there. So if you guys want to download it and read through it yourself, and there's actually more information than what they're seeing.
Man.
But anyway, this next page says, where did you say you were from? And then there's a listing of the Scotch regions according to the SWA. I copy and pasted it straight from their website. And step number 3 says, considering the region definitions per the SWA listed above, pick the region each Scotch is from and why you say that. And then the second part of that is, do you want to change your original order of preference? Which I kind of chuckled because earlier, Andrew's already considering that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a good comment, Andrew.
Hmm.
But okay, so this is, go through these, you guys, and tell me what the regions that you think they're from.
Wait a minute, there are 5 regions on here.
Well, exactly, but there's only 4 whiskeys. So
I know. So what am I supposed to do? Is that
The-
Is that all the above?
Hey, do you think that I would not put the same 2 of those in the same region? Am I above that kind of shenanigan?
What?
No, I didn't do that. I'll tell you that. I didn't. The 4 bottles are from different regions.
Man. See, I get, it's weird. I'm getting, because these are hot and I'm trying to bring them down on water, I get the most information from the nose. That's where I'm learning to really pull really the key components out of it. I guess my nose is more sensitive than my palate. I got the nose to prove it.
I'll tell you what, I put a little bit of water on number 1 and just let it sit for a while, and it's beautiful.
I know. That's why I said it was older, because it holds the water great. It really opens up.
Well, 2's got to be a Campbelltown.
Mm-hmm.
We've all been talking about that.
Yeah, I got my numbers down. I'm ready.
Okay, so Drew, what do you got? Regions.
So, because I already kind of threw these together already, so I'm gonna say number 1. I'm gonna go with Speyside.
Okay, hang on. Spey. Okay.
Number 2, I'm gonna go Campbelltown, just like Sean just said.
CBT.
Speaking 3 with the Buna 18, Buna Isla. And then 4, I'm still not sure on 4, but I wrote down Heather earlier in floral, which screams to me Highland, but I don't know. So I'm gonna go Highland on 4.
Okay.
I really like number 1. It's good.
Yes, it is. It's wonderful. All right. I think I'm ready. 3 is the only one that has me mystified a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's a curveball. All right. I think I'm ready. All right.
Okay.
I agree with Drew on number 1. I think that's a Speyside. 2, I am going with Campbelltown. Number 3, I was thinking maybe a Highland, but I keep going back. I poured a little bit. I saved a little bit that wasn't watered down. And I went back to the nose, and it smells a little heavier and denser. And so I'm going to go with Isla, because I think Drew may be onto something on that one.
I think so.
Then number 4, I'm reading through the characteristics, and gentle, elegant palate, honeysuckle, cream. I think that number 4 is a lowland.
Lowland. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Andrew, you're on the hot seat.
All right. So
Hi, Hoagie.
I think I pretty much agree that we've got number 1 is a Spey, number 2 is a Campbelltown. I think number 3 is a Highland. I think it's it could represent the Highlands well. Now, of course, you can make any whiskey anywhere, so I'm going to say it could represent a Highland well. And I think 4 is definitely a lowland. I think it's a mass producer that puts them in I wouldn't say tired barrels, but they put them in barrels that don't add a lot of flavor and just let them sit and just become what they are. And I think that has completely changed my flavor profile. My preference here is completely different than what I started with. So I'm going to take.
So yeah, hang on a second. I'm going to pull up I'm going to retake your order because I've got your original order of preference.
What do I do with it?
I didn't give you guys a spot to write a new preference on, even though I asked you for it. So okay, I've got a spot.
All right. So my new preference order is number 1, number 4, then number 2, and then number 3. So given time, I'm learning to appreciate all of these more than I originally. So
holy cow, that is completely different.
It's completely different. It's completely different because what I've done is I've added water. I've had time with them. I've had a chance to explore it. My palate's kind of mellowed out a little bit. And I'm just really appreciating some of these more subtle and just like, oh, that's really kind of fun flavor rather than just what punches me in the face. And so that's where that first hit was they're all hot. They get the most flavor that overpowers the burn out of number 2. So that was my number 1. And now it's like, ooh, that 1 and 4 have a little bit of something going on. They're fun.
I actually have to agree with you, Andrew.
Really?
Yeah, honestly, I've just been tasting through them again, and it's fun. Number 1 is my clear favorite. I just really enjoy that glass. But number 4, now that it's had, I think that like grain acetone node kind of threw it off, and it just needed time to sit for a while. Yeah. And now that it's had time to sit, now I'm getting like some honeysuckle and some like real subtle stuff on the nose and on the palate that I just couldn't get to before. I put some water in it too, so I think it's had time to just kind of let the water do its magic and let some of those, you know, weird stuff off gas. And now I'm getting into some stuff that I really enjoy. So I'm going to change my preference also and go with the exact same one that Andrew just.
So I will say about number 4, I don't particularly like the nose on it. Still don't like the nose, but the palate has really become better for me.
But the nose, the longer I let it sit, the better I like it.
Yeah, okay.
That's
true. Who's quiet?
Well, I'm letting you guys talk. So I'm changing mine as well. They've opened up more. The water's actually tamed them up as well. I'm still saying number 1 is my favorite. I'm with Sean. I just love everything about number 1. But I am switching my other 3 completely. So I'm gonna go 1. And honestly, that funkiness is really growing on me. It's really I actually really like it right now. So that's my number 2. So 1, 2, and then I'm going 4 and then 3.
Wow. So 3 ended up in last place after a revised, and before the initial, the 4 was last place by all 3 unanimous. So
weird.
I think because honestly, the 3's good. It's a really solid dram, but the other 3 have something unique going on, and because I'm interested more, I like them better.
I think you're right.
I'm thinking that this has been a fun exercise just for the fact that it took a while and it let us reevaluate these whiskeys over and over and over again and come to new conclusions about them as they set in the glass. It's actually been kind of fun.
Right. So the next, oh, hey, thanks, SoCal. Man, that's fun. Good for you. Thank you. The next topic, the next step is to open envelope 4. And I'll tell you guys right now, when you open envelope 4, the first thing you're going to see is the revelation. So be ready for that. But,
are you ready to open?
Yeah, because we want to talk about some conclusions on this and really dissect what we've learned a little bit. I will confess to you as you're opening this that the whole ABV topic was just a red herring. I could care less about the ABV. This was about time and region. You guys you spent a ton of time trying to dissect these ABVs. And so the reveal, you guys, glass 1 is a 25-year-old Glen Grant at 55% ABV from the Speyside region. Number 2 is an 11-year-old Glen Scotia representing Campbelltown, and that is a 59.2% ABV. I'll go on record and say you guys all nailed the Campbelltown. You guys were spot on that. It was funny to see you guys flip on the oldest and probably best Scotch in there, that Glen Grant. The third glass was an 11-year-old Bunnahabhain, and Drew nailed that out the gate.
Yeah, he did.
He did.
he honestly, if you guys read the Discord comments after this, Drew has been hitting bingos since he opened first envelope.
I can't believe this.
Right. So, and then the final glass, everyone at home, is a 10-year-old Teenanic, which is actually a Highland, and it was 56.2. It was the second weakest as far as ABVs. As far as young, and it was the youngest as well. So the 2 same age were 11-year-olds. The curveball in the age statements was the Glen Grant, because it's a 25. The other 2, I realize 11 and 10 years old are really close, but I honestly really was surprised that you guys didn't get tripped up. I intentionally went with that Campbelltown, that Glen Scotia, because it's slightly peated. And I was hoping that that light peat would catch you guys and force you into an Isla claim on it. Yep. And I chose an Isla that's not peated intentionally because I wanted to see do regions matter. Tell me what you guys are on.
Mark.
So let's look at the results. Really, if we look at time, age, and region. As far as regions go, I think you guys nailed it, didn't you?
We got the first three.
Yep.
No, I thought 3 was a Highland.
Yeah, so you guys nailed the Speyside and you nailed the Campbelltown. You guys got the Glen Grant and the Glen Scotia. Yeah. The Bunnahabhain and Teenanick threw you off. And in all fairness, to throw this out there to everybody, we're not really versed in Teenanick. It's not like we drank a bunch of Teenanick. Yeah. And so that one really was going to be a new one to you guys. I knew that one was going to throw a curveball to you. The Bunnahabhain, Drew's drinking up Bunnahabhain 18 to have that one burned in the memory.
But he was an 11. That's the funny 11-year-old.
That's the regions right too.
Yeah, you nailed the regions as well, Drew. If you guys want, so if you scroll down, if you guys look on the back pages, I actually gave you the write-ups of the bottles from the SMWS. But there's some questions on the recap. Did you give any consideration of the age of the region before you ordered your preference? So when you guys were just getting to nose these, did you care one bit if they were older, younger? Did you think about what region they came from? What were you considering?
I would say that, when you're tasting stuff, like when I got to the Campbelltown one, it was pretty obvious that it was Campbelltown. So it's hard not to take that into consideration because it's part of the flavor and part of the nose. So you're either in the mood for something like that or you're not. And today I was, kind of on the fence about it. That Glen Grant, man, it's so good. But as far as like taking, I'll take the ABV slightly into consideration because I can tell if it, maybe it feels closed off and it's a big one and I can put a little water on it and try and bring out some more flavors or change the nose a little bit. But as far as like just sipping through, kind of you like what you like, Now I will say that I think it's very telling, especially in these cask strength whiskeys, that, I tasted through neat because we had to figure out what the ABV was going to be. And then I put some water on it. So by round 2 and round 3, that water's had a chance to kind of dilute the whiskey a little bit, open it up, let you get to some things. And so then we're all changing around what our preference was. So I think that there's initial preference, and then there's as you sip on that glass and as you compare it to other whiskeys where you end up.
I had a feeling that the reorder of preference was going to happen. And just because it happened to me, when I put myself through this, I sat down with them and made sure that what I was asking you guys to do wasn't, too easy or stupid. And I knew that you guys, after that water sat on it for just a little while, and that's actually why I threw it in the very beginning of the challenge, why I said water at any time. I was kind of hoping you guys picked up and put some water on it because I knew you guys were going to know they were hot. Hell yeah, they're all cask strength. You got to put a little water on it.
They're all hot. I couldn't pull that out. Yeah.
Right. So you guys, Andrew, Drew, did you care about age, region when you were first nosing and tasting these? Does that cross your mind?
I mean, I wrote down a bunch of notes. I obviously was trying to be more detailed because you were challenging me. But at the end of the day, I think that the real kicker here was obviously we went into this with certain things to try and keep track of, right? We're trying to keep track of, trying to figure out where they're from and the ages maybe and taste, etc. But at the end of the day, I think the key part was what you said. And I think when I asked the water question, because I immediately knew they were higher ABV. And that's really the key here is to what Sean was, the piggyback on what he was saying is, it's about your palate and what you like. And the first order we did was a quick order. It didn't have time to really let that water finish because it's so high ABV. It really needed to come down a little bit. Maybe not. Maybe some of you really like the flavors the way it were. But I can tell you right now, based on what it was originally, and when I added water and let it sit there, I mean, I think the other one that stayed the same was number 1 for me. All the other 3 completely flipped because I personally I think I may be the only person that picked the funkiness. I really like the funkiness. It really kind of called to me afterwards. So at the end of the day, if you completely forget about what you bought it for, where you bought it from region wise, and pick just on what you liked in the moment right now based on either ABV or not, that's what's important. And that's why I think for me, where I came out with.
I agree. So Drew and Sean are both right in that I've never been a big person where, oh, I got to get this 25 or I got to get a certain distillery. The beauty of Scotch for Dummies is that we've had the ability to have so many whiskeys that I found kind of what I like, and I know who makes what I like, and that's what I buy. Because I and for perfect example, our first number 4 and our continued number 4 is King Alexander III, non-age statement. It's not about the age. It's about the quality, the flavor, what you get out of it, why you like it. Just because so and so likes it doesn't mean that you should like it. Mine was the palate. It's what I tasted, what I nosed, what I like, what I would like to sit on my my recliner, smelling and tasting. That's what I like, and that's what I'm going to pick. And so that's how I chose that first preference. Now, as you said, after we added water and after we let it sit, what I liked changed a little bit because I was able to take the time and understand that, wow, that's really better than I thought it was initially.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great experience.
Did the Scotch live up to its age? So you guys aged them and you put them in order, and now that you know what they are and you look back at that order, do you think those Scotches live up to that number, or does it matter to you? Would you change your mind if you didn't know? Do you think matching up the age to the bottle now, is it easy for you to do?
Let's go the same order. Sean, me, and Andrew.
I would say, based on the fact that I really enjoyed number 1 and I'm still drinking the number 1, and it's the 25-year-old Glen Grant, that I do like the old Scotch. But I don't, my number 2 was the youngest Scotch. After it had sat and had a chance to open up, I really liked the 10-year-old. So I don't know that it necessarily matters. The number doesn't matter as much as what ends up in your glass. So if it is a good Scotch from a good distillery and you enjoy the profile and it is aged appropriately and you enjoy everything about drinking it, then I don't think that the number itself matters as much on the bottle.
Yeah, I agree. I just poured some more 25 because it was really, to me, it didn't matter the number of it. I just really liked the taste of that the most. And just because I've had enough Scotch in a sense, I've kind of figured it had more complexity to it. Of course, that's been proven wrong before as well. So I don't know.
Right.
But I really like that. Do I look at the numbers? To Sean's point, I got the numbers wrong too as far as age, and I like number 2. I think it was one of the younger ones or something. But it goes back to palate. I guess at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. It's just what you like. So what would be kind of cool is just to have like a machine, like a Scotch machine, right? That just had no numbers on it. You just spin it, and you just grab a dram, whatever it is, and whatever age it is, whether you like it or not, and you just forget about age sometimes. And sometimes that's what we need to think about. It's just go with what you're really liking.
That's what we do when we go over to Mark's bunker.
Drew the inventor. Listen to this guy.
So it's weird. I think, oh yeah, well, obviously we love number 1, so it's got to be the oldest whiskey. But our second favorite is the youngest. So it is weird in that number 1 is my favorite. It happens to be the oldest. Maybe those are aligned. I don't know. Number 4 is a really flavorful. Well, it's not a powerful flavor, but it's a really nice whiskey. And for a 10-year-old, I'm kind of surprised that it's that good, because a lot of those 10-year-olds get are kind of harsh and edgy, and this is not, even though the nose is a little off. But so, it's weird because so you self-align with what you expect. Like number 1, oh, of course it's 25. It's great. Number 2, it's a 10. And there's something different about that. Number 3, you kind of associate your opinion with what you expect. And in this case, it didn't really work because
Right.
the 25, everything else is essentially the same age. They're all 10, 11 years old. They're the same age. Why would it affect the flavor as much? Yeah.
Right. When it came to the age challenge part of this, that was the best I could do with what I had. I wanted to put one that stood out completely, and that 25 was, almost more than twice the age of the others. I didn't have. I wished I could get at that. And I don't even know if we have that Eden Mill on your bar anymore, Sean. Remember that real young one?
Oh yeah, 3-year-old.
That's a good bottle too for a young.
SMWS, right?
Yeah,
one.
I thought we killed it, or I would have asked, but because that would have been nice to throw into a challenge like this. But at the end of the day, I was able to at least throw enough with difference with the 25. So let's talk about your perceptions with region. You guys did really well on the regions, knowing where these bottles are from now and what they're supposed to taste like according to those definitions of the SWA. Do you think they fit those? Do you think it matters? And now I'll say that and ask that knowing that, yes, you're right. Whiskey can be made anywhere, Andrew. I think you said that earlier. But for the most part, there's expectations on these regions, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I don't know if they're always, I don't think that they always live up to it per se. And I think, some regions like the Highlands, there's a lot of distilleries in the Highlands, man. I mean, and you get a wide variety of flavors. I think that you get, if you go to Isla, you get a little bit more of a consistent, message from those distilleries. But even there's some oddball stuff, So, I mean, I think it's fairly difficult to kind of pick and choose. That being said, if you were just looking through the descriptions, I based it off of what the description said. So, we talked several times on number one on that Glen Grant about apples and pears. And that is one of the first things that's listed in the description of a Speyside. So It's kind of hard not to say Speyside when you're pulling that out. The Campbelltown was a Campbelltown. There was no doubt about it.
Once you guys jumped on that really fast. I was like, damn, man. I mean, they said Springbank, but I mean, what's the difference here?
Well, once you know it's a Campbelltown, it's a Campbelltown,
Right.
So that one was pretty easy. Number 3, I actually got that one right because Drew kept hammering down on Bunnahabhain, and he was pretty sure that was it. At first, I was going to say Highland for that one, and then I went back and nosed it again, and I was like, man, it's a little heavier than I thought it was.
Yep.
And then I thought about it, and I was like, man, it'd be just like Mark to throw in an unpeated Isla into this thing. That's what he did. I bet it was Boona. And so that's why I picked Isla for the third one. Wasn't necessarily my prowess at picking regions. It was, that seems like some underhanded stuff that Mark but the fourth one was really tough because it could have been like, I picked Lowland because I thought that it had some of that sweeter honeysuckle, like deep, rich, elegant stuff going on. And I didn't know what you had over there. So it could have been something that like, somebody sent you a sample of, or, you scored a bottle of something somewhere. So I was like, man, like there's not a whole lot of Lowland stuff floating around out there, but
that's true.
It doesn't mean that there's not something out there. But I mean, it could be anything from the Highlands. Like you could say really anything about anything from the Highlands and you could probably be right. So
is the Tina Nick, is there any grain in that or is that a single malt?
That's a single malt. It's an SM. They're all SMW. These are all single cast.
Well, it doesn't mean it's not grain.
What
Okay.
That acetone nose when I first poured it was really pronounced and it was hard to get by. And I think that threw me off for a while. But I really enjoy it now that it's had a chance to sit and open up. It's really great.
They're getting more apples or pears on it now. It's really nice.
Drew, you nailed the regions. Obviously, you think there's something to that?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think that, looking through some of this stuff, I've always been a big fan of SMWS and their, their descriptions and what they do and stuff. So I think they nail it on when they cast their descriptions and titles to the nose, et cetera, to the regions. And I think they kind of marry up. I think Sean said it best. It just really, just kind of depends on what you think and what your flavor is right now and what kind of region you want to go for. If you want to go for, it's easy to get tricked, right? Is this an Isla? Is this not an Isla? I mean, you and I talked about last night. We had a dram. What was it? We poured the SNWS Tullibardine, right? And I've had a couple, and it really goes back to, it's so easy. We're extremely lucky. We've got a really good variety of scotches we have tried. So we know some of the tips and tricks of, it's all about casking. And if you were to tell me that last night's dram, when you poured it to me and said that was a Tullibardine, I would tell you were full of shit. There's no way, because that did not taste anything like I've had for Tullibardine. But it was fantastic, right? It was a Oloroso and all kinds of crazy stuff. And it really goes to show you that even an Isla or a Highland can produce things that may trick you to think it is an Isla or vice versa. So it really just depends on. It's almost a point where you need to kind of hone in on what your palate profile tends towards. Like we were talking to some guys last night online about, I don't like Scotch. I've never had it before. And I can tell you, I can pretty much guarantee you that first timers that say I don't like Scotch is because they went down the wrong path first, right? Yeah. There's a way to go through things. But that also depends on your palate. If you've got a really vast palate and you're really eclectic, like my son loves seafood and oysters and stuff, but he won't eat like normal food, like pasta and stuff. It's crazy, right? But so to him, starting him with an Isla, that would be a good approach. But most people aren't like that. So you got to figure out where their tendencies are and their palate is. And that's where I think the beauty of the region is to kind of figure out, what do you like? What do you feel like? And there is a story behind regions, but at the end of the day, it's what you personally like, and let me kind of steer you towards some of those flavors.
So, Andrew, what do you think? Actually, before we go any further, I want to read a comment so you know that Tom R. says he's already got an idea for you, so reach out to him. But how do you feel about, just to finish this up, about the regions and their expectations, knowing that there are curveballs, but overall?
So historically, regions they've been pretty true to their flavor, but I think in the last 10 years, or 5 years at least, it's gone away from that. You were able to prove that with two of them, that they didn't follow their regional profile. Well, I mean, the Isla for sure didn't follow its regional profile. And so I tend to care less about that unless it's an established brand that is proud of their region. So things like Kilchoman, they're an Isla, but they're not necessarily, I mean, they say they're an Isla, but they're not necessarily proud of the region in that they don't produce heavily peated whiskeys. They produce everything, and they've got kind of a different niche to their style. And so many of the distillers are doing that now. Balvini's doing Peat Week, and things like that, where they're trying to break out. And so I tend to think that region is less important than the flavor in the glass. That's just me. Okay.
Well, I had some fun when I was putting this together. I came up with a title for it, and it's, I basically was making a spinoff of Thomas Paine's Age of Reason, right? And so I was going to instead of putting good luck, I was going to put these are the times that try men's souls, but I didn't want to scare you guys.
It would have been appropriate, though. I think a better title would have been, this is our trial run for us to be on the committee to pick the casks.
Yeah, that's right. We're just getting ready, boys. Well,
I gotta say, Mark, awesome job. This was fantastic. You did a great job, and Andrew, the bar has been set.
Yeah,
you got to bring your A game, buddy. It was fun. It's challenging to do, honestly, but I think once you get in on your idea, you'll be all right. And a couple people did reach out to me with a few ideas, and we talked through some things. I think the toughest part, Andrew, is looking at what you have to choose from and putting something meaningful together that we can learn something.
Yeah, I've got like 5 bottles open, so that's gonna be a problem.
You go to the store.
So I know we're running late, and it's at 4 o'clock. We're filling people coming on.
That's right.
So we need to get off here. But
let's send everybody over to their channel.
Whiskey Mystery.
Whiskey Mystery is going live. They should be on. And then, so we're not doing a show tomorrow. Is that what we're saying, gentlemen?
That's correct.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. We will be back on Thursday evening then, right?
I think we might have Dr. Scotch back on Thursday. Well, see what we
Dr. Scotch is back in the house.
And a special guest. I think we're going to have some whiskey tubers on, hopefully. So we'll see what happens.
Oh,
that'd be fun.
Awesome.
Well, listen, everybody, thanks for joining us on a Sunday afternoon, man. This was fun. I'm glad it's over and I'm off the hot seat.
good.
But until next time, I appreciate everybody joining. It was great to see everybody. Go check out Whiskey Mystery, and I think Roy's on after that. Aquavita's got a live, so I'm sure we'll probably be crossing paths with you guys in the chat rooms, man. Take care, everybody.
All right, see you guys.
Cheers.